right ahead on CCX News, calm restored to a Plymouth neighborhood. What happened that led to a night of unrest. Plus, a business that grew up in Golden Valley expands with Minnesota pride. And later, inside the Vikings huddle using the power of social media. We'll meet the Plymouth native who's behind many of the team's posts and tweets. CCX News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. A Plymouth neighborhood became the center of police activity.
Police spent the night and the morning trying to resolve a situation involving a man who is contemplating suicide. As it turns out, that man is linked to a multi-million-dollar fraud scandal. Eric Nelson has the very latest.
The 5200 block of Black Oaks Lane here in Plymouth is normally a peaceful neighborhood, but all that changed on Sunday night.
Neighbors in the area probably saw a lot of police activity, a lot of police cars, a lot of people in the area.
At 6:45 p.m. Sunday, police were called to the area to check on a potential crisis situation involving a man with a gun.
And upon arriving there, officers believed that a male was possibly suicidal in that area.
Plymouth police, along with officers from Maple Grove, Minnetonka, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, and Minnesota State Patrol teamed up to try to find the individual.
It was dark, it was hot, there was the threat of kind of rain and severe weather at some points during the night.
16 hours later, it was mission accomplished as officers found him late Monday morning. This dramatic video taken by a neighbor shows police with guns drawn as they arrested him face down on the street.
Everybody is safe. There's no threat of harm or nothing to be worried about throughout the city at this point.
While police could not release the person's name because of medical privacy laws, neighbors say the man involved was Matthew Tiva. He and his wife, Jessie Tiva, are accused of taking $15 million in a bogus business scheme. Meanwhile, we talked to a couple of neighbors on the block. They told us they were evacuated from their homes for 14 hours and described the situation as chaotic and scary. In Plymouth, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
Now here's more background on those accusations. Jessie and Matthew Tiva are charged with 9 fraud counts, according to a complaint filed in federal court by the Federal Trade Commission and the Minnesota Attorney General's office. The complaint says the couple created a company called Seller's Playbook. The company conducted business training that the couple claimed could help their customers earn as much as $20,000 a month by promoting goods on Amazon. The scheme helped the couple collect more than $15 million from consumers. Jessie Tiva was previously featured on television shows such as The Apprentice and The Oprah Winfrey Show.
An update now on the search for a missing Osseo man. According to his family on social media, Robert Quaid was found deceased. Quaid was last seen at a gas station in Edina on August 5th, and Osseo police made a plea to the public to help find him. As we went to air, we did not have any specifics on how Quaid was found.
The New Hope City Council will have no shortage of applicants to choose from for an open council seat.
And that is because 12 people have applied to take former council member Eric Lammle's position. Lammle stepped down from the city council on August 15th because he's moving out of the area. City council members will interview the 12 applicants on Tuesday and Wednesday. Finalist interviews will take place on August 28th, and then a new council member will be selected. The appointee will serve the remainder of Lammle's term, which lasts to the end of 2020.
The Three Rivers Park District Board wants to hear what you think about the future of the parks. Recently, the Park District partnered with other groups to try out new concepts on parks in the suburbs, like Shopper Park in Golden Valley. The park debuted last fall, offering a first of its kind for this area timed obstacle course. Creating new ways to engage people in parks that are already in place is an ongoing goal of Three Rivers, so they'd like to know what people think who actually use the parks.
With the first tier already developed, it's a little bit of a challenge, but I think we've made some progress. But it would be helpful to get the feedback from the residents to find out, are we on the right track? Are they seeing what they would expect from Three Rivers?
You can go to letstalk3rivers.org to give your ideas on how to make the parks more welcoming to all. The survey will be open through the end of September. This is the first time in 20 years the Park District has developed a comprehensive plan.
The State Fair opens on Thursday, and if you plan to get there by bus, you may have to push back your arrival time. Due to a Metro Transit driver shortage, the State Fair Express bus service won't begin until 9 a.m. That is an hour later than in previous years. Express service runs every 15 minutes daily from the Bottineau Boulevard Park and Ride ramp at County Road 81 and 63rd Avenue. Service is also available on weekends and Labor Day from the Maple Grove Transit Station. Express fares are $5 cash round trip. Children age 4 and under do ride for free.
When the Minnesota State Fair kicks off later this week, a Minnesota clothing company formerly headquartered in Golden Valley will be a popular stop for many at the fair.
It's a big week for Sota Clothing Company on the heels of opening its first store last weekend. In this week's Business Matters, we take a look at how this company has turned state pride into a top seller.
We're on Walker Street, so this is actually the oldest commercial building in St. Louis Park.
In a historic Minnesota building, there's a sign of a new era for Sota Clothing Company.
Hats are definitely one of our more popular items too that we sell. This one is our #1 item. We call this the classic hat, aka we also call it the popular hat.
32-year-old Spencer Johnson is the graphic designer and founder of this fast-growing line of Minnesota-themed clothing and accessories.
This item would be probably #2 that's been the most popular.
From where he stands in the company's new store and headquarters, Spencer Johnson could have never imagined a college project in 2011 at the University of Minnesota Duluth
So we had to do a branding project for basically a made-up business.
would lead to all this.
I kind of wanted to design something that kind of reflected my design style, but also kind of reflected Minnesota in the way I saw it.
Turns out his design aesthetic
From Minneapolis, Minnesota, and again, the canoe paddles, because I love that theme.
appeals to others too.
I think it's just, it's hometown, it's Minnesota, it's Northwoods, it's, everything that I like that kind of represents our state.
From his first Sota script design for that college project to his most popular paddle design,
I always test stuff online. The beauty of Instagram is we would test it and be like, do you guys like this? Do you guys not like this? And that design got a huge response.
Spencer Johnson has grown his business from pop-up stands and online sales in the early days when he ran the business from the attic of his home to a bigger space in Golden Valley, where Johnson was able to expand and get his products in more Minnesota stores.
Golden Valley was definitely our big stepping stone though, because it allowed us to have the most space. So it really allowed us to grow a lot more.
Now, in this new location with a store of its own, Sota Clothing Company is able to connect with customers in a new way. And Spencer Johnson is pleased with where his company stands.
So if this goes well, we'll see maybe one more store. But right now, I think we're pretty good where we're at.
I have a feeling they're going to be a popular booth at the State Fair.
Oh, some cool stuff in
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Still ahead on CCX News, the Minnesota Vikings and its increasing use of social media.
We'll meet a Wayzata grad who is one of the people behind it. Plus, after falling just short of a state title, the Maple Grove girls soccer team gets set for another big season.
But first, the sunshine returns. Tuesday highs in the 70s. Nearly every major business uses social media accounts like Twitter and Instagram as a way to promote their brand and also interact with their customers.
And that is especially true when it comes to professional sports teams. Today, Delane Cleveland introduces us to a Plymouth native who helps run the social media accounts for the Minnesota Vikings.
Another football season is upon us, and several hours before kickoff of the Vikings' home preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the players did their on-field warm-ups while smartphone-holding fans tried to capture shots of their favorite players. But fans weren't the only ones utilizing smartphones.
Can you guys wave to the camera for me and hold your signs up?
Felicia Johnson patrols the sidelines of every game.
The receivers are always on this end zone, so like Diggs and Thielen, Treadwell, be over here.
She's the 28-year-old Plymouth native in her second year as the Vikings social media manager. And it's her job to capture any images that might be of interest to fans checking out the team's social media accounts.
So we have a few different pieces of equipment, but for the most part I'm using a stabilizer, and that allows me to get really smooth shots from a phone, which is great.
Her role allowed her to get the best view of some of the team's most exciting plays last season.
I've always been a Vikings fan. I think as just growing up in Minnesotan, it's one of those teams that I've always held really close to my heart. Like the '98 team with Randy Moss was iconic.
Earlier in the week, the 2008 Wayzata High School grad sat down for a one-on-one interview at the team's headquarters in Eagan.
I help with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, and then some of the Vikings.com content. So we're doing things like covering practices, obviously covering games, doing player profiles, behind the scenes stuff on social media.
It's a position that didn't even exist a decade ago. But this former advertising professional says social media plays an ever-increasing role for professional sports teams.
Sports is really one of those pure mediums that social media hasn't quite distorted yet. We have seen that users and customers are not really open to receiving messages from brands, but sports is really that industry that people are seeking out.
The platform allows the social media team to interact with fans on behalf of the Vikings and come up with witty comments for the occasional troll.
We do protect our team, and when someone's calling us out, sometimes we'll call them out back.
It's just one of the responsibilities of a job that can sometimes mean 14-hour days. But for this millennial,
I feel like the lighting in here is pretty good.
It's a labor of love.
It's definitely a full-time job, and sometimes more than a full-time job, but I would not trade that for the world.
In Minneapolis, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
Social media team is also responsible for putting photos of Vikings fans on the stadium screens. So if you post a selfie using the hashtag Skol, Felicia could very well give you your 15 seconds of fame. Very good. Good job, Felicia.
I would imagine she is running during
Yes, she
games.
is. Busy, busy lady. Still ahead, a back-to-school welcome for new teachers.
But first, we visit the Wayzata Trojans football team in today's training camp report. John Jacobson is in next with sports.
It's hard to imagine a season ending in a more heartbreaking fashion than it did last year for the Maple Grove girls soccer team. The Crimson lost in the state final on a goal scored with 6 seconds left. Most of the girls from that team returned for 2018, and they're eager for another go-round. Here's Jason Malillo.
When your season ends like this, how much do you think about it?
All the time. I mean, it's definitely always there. Everyone kind of realizes how close we were last year.
Maple Grove battled to its first ever section title in 2017 and then went all the way to the state final before losing to Eagan on a last-second goal. That memory can never be erased, but the Crimson can't dwell on it either.
I thought about that a lot, and we'll probably address it once, and then I'm just going to say, you know what, we're going to talk about it, that's it, let's keep going.
We're mad, of course, and then that kind of just carries into this season. We're all really excited to start the season and hopefully end better than we did last year.
MG returns 8 starters and should be very solid on the back line and in the midfield, with seniors Mia Omar and LJ Kolaj leading the way.
Our 4 defensive backs were all juniors last year, and they all had a lot of varsity experience even sophomore and freshman year, so we're used to playing together as a back line and strong, so that'll definitely be our foundation to build up.
Up front, the Crimson has a very solid scorer in senior forward Manon McMahon, but a big hole to fill will be the loss of Miss Soccer winner Meredith Hawkinson.
We're going to be a good team around here, but I know that there's going to be things where I go, you know, why is this a problem? This hasn't been a problem. It's going to be that Meredith was fixing that problem for 4 years straight. So I don't know what I don't know, but I know it's going to be there.
Maple Grove ended its tryout week with a spirited intra-squad scrimmage, getting the Crimson ready to start the journey of a new season. Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
Maple Grove opens the season Friday at Eden Prairie. Their home opener is next Tuesday, the 28th, against Osseo. High school football teams start their seasons at the end of next week. Wayzata is looking to improve on a tough 2017 season. Here's Jay Wilcox with today's training camp report.
All in all, the Wayzata guys say the first week of practice for the 2018 season was a good one.
We've been practicing really hard. I think it's probably been one of our best practices we've had so far throughout the summer. We've been really physical. We've been working hard. I know everyone's been really tired and sore, but that's also a good sign that we've been out here working hard, and I'm kind of proud of the boys, but we still got a lot of work to do to be prepared for the first game.
The Trojans won just 2 games last season, but the good news is that a lot of young players gained valuable experience. Most of last year's starters return, and that familiarity with high-level varsity competition should help.
It's just really nice because we have, like you said, a lot more experience, and like everybody just kind of knows their role and kind of starting to fill in like where we need to. And even like the juniors and sophomores that are coming up to play with us have really stepped up big, and like that'll make a big impact on the team this year.
Among the key returners offensively, quarterback Keaton Heide, who missed a chunk of last season with an injury. The running back duo of Alec Underhill and Christian Vassar, and a pair of large and talented tight ends, Billy Revere and Nick Callerup. Defensively, nose guard Andrew Yogi and linebackers Trevor Palish and Cade Shiraka lead a defense with some good speed. The Trojans think they're on the right track to having a much better season if they take care of the details that make a good football team.
I think we've got a great group of kids. We got a great group of kids, and we've got the ability to, I think, go out and do and compete with anybody. Can we keep guys healthy? Can we practice the right way? Can we make the disciplined decisions and do the little things right when it really matters? And I think if we can do all those things, we're going to be just fine.
Everyone kind of knows that like we have the potential to be really good, and if we kind of treat that the right way, we can be really good this year. And I think that's on the good side of people. So I think we're all kind of prepared for that, and we all know that we need to keep working to reach that success that we want to reach.
We'll see if potential turns into victories for Wayzata this season. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
The Trojans were 2-7 last fall in Lambert Brown's first season. They do return 9 starters on offense and 8 on defense. The Trojans open on the road at Rosemont August 30th. That's all for sports. Alex and Shannon, back to you.
All right, thank you, John. Still ahead, a tradition of welcoming new teachers.
What some call the greatest profession of all when we come back. Finally, a celebration of teaching in Brooklyn Park.
You have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of our students and to the field of education, the greatest profession of all. After all, none of us would be here if it wasn't for a teacher.
Osseo and Brooklyn Center schools continued their tradition of welcoming new teachers to their districts with a breakfast at the Marriott in Brooklyn Park. The theme this year for the North Hennepin Area Chamber of Commerce event was "You Can Do Better, We Can Help." Speakers from both districts, as well as the 2018 Minnesota Teacher of the Year, shared ways teachers can try to reach all of their students. School begins September 4th.
It is right around the corner.
Down.
That's right.
That's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you back here again on Tuesday, starting at 4 o'clock.